Hey y'all, welcome aboard. I'm super stoked to find out more about the Dream Team, but I think we should start off with some, meatier introductions. So let's start with y'all. Bart, can you say a few words about who you are and what you work on?
Yes, Simon, of course. Yeah, so first of all, we're very grateful to be here. Very excited to talk, to share more about how we work as a team and our experiences in working together. So my name is Bart. I'm a data analyst I'm based in Amsterdam. And prior to this, I have a background in finance and I was a business analyst before. And now I'm using that experience to work with the TripActions operations team and customer success teams.
Awesome, thank you. Rob?
Cool. So I'm Rob. I wear a few hats in this group. I'm the director, so theoretically I'm in charge, although it rarely feels like it. The official team PowerPointer, and I'm also the team DBA. So that's me.
Very good. Very good. Teddy?
Okay, hi again. So I'm Teodora. I prefer to be called Teddy, so you'll hear that during this talk. I'm a data scientist here at TripActions, and I'm focused mainly around product and recommender engines. Before I was doing data science, I was in the world of clinical trials, but eventually I got really depressed by counting dead people and I had to move on, which brought me into data science and this beautiful team.
That's very sweet. And Virginia?
Hi, I'm Virginia. I'm a data engineer in TripActions. I am in charge of the tools in TripActions, the tools that we have for documentation, for deploying in Azure, and a couple of things more. And what it brought me to TripActions is that I was looking for a really cool team, and I found it.
Very good. Right on. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And okay, so let's talk about it. So here we are. We're here to talk about dream teams, right? And this term for me is kind of evocative in a couple of ways. One, the team itself is a dream upon which to work, right? It's like an excellent place to do work. And then the other part is like the team exists in like a dreamy way within the organization, right? It's really effective. It's got like really excellent relationships within the org. And I kind of want to touch on both of those. And can you all talk about sort of what it is that makes this particular team a great team to work on? Is it relationships? Is it buy-in? Yeah, tell me more about what that's like.
Let's kick it off.
Go for it, Bart.
Yeah,
Right.
You spoke first, dude.
Yeah, so when I think about it, like for me personally, one of the things I value a lot is learning and development in the team. Because like besides like seeing each other in meetings, we have several different like opportunities to help each other learn and develop. So one is a weekly tech hour. Team members can either offer their own knowledge to share with the rest of the team, or request someone from the team to share knowledge about a topic they feel that person is really an expert in. So that's open for the whole team. And then within the analyst team, we have Tableau test parties bi-weekly, where analysts can just show their new Tableau dashboard that they just built, and then request feedback. It could be the formatting, the usability of the dash. And then, I remember the first few sessions we held those. It was quite scary to share because you get a lot of feedback from everyone in the team. But over time, you see that folks are, before they show their dash for feedback.
Sure.
Already all the best practices are taken into account because they learned that already before in the earlier sessions. Yeah, so for me, learning and development is one major one.
Yeah, for me, the dreamiest part of the job, I would say, is actually the team. And we often have those discussions between ourselves that this thing that we have it going, how we actually really care personally about each other. And I would say most of us are actually really close friends. And that really keeps us going when things are a bit rough, especially in times of isolation, Corona, business. It's one of the most important things for me, and I know for a fact for the team that we have that relationship of trust and friendship and a very open and collaborative environment within the team.
And it goes beyond just, so we're all talking from Amsterdam. It goes just beyond us to our friends and colleagues in California or in Israel. They're there for us when we have personal challenges. I hear from people in the US offering their support, and it's so powerful to really know that the people you spend so much your day with your working time with, they genuinely care about you, your welfare, your well-being, and they want to support you in every way that they can. So
I have something to add here. I really think that what really makes us a really good team is that when I say before in charge, is that everybody is in charge of everything. Like everybody knows a little bit of everything, and we have our experts. So when there is a problem or a trouble, we face it together. So that makes us like a super team. Because when you're stressed, you cannot solve anything, or you can grab whatever member of the team that you want, and they will always help you. So we always put the team first, and that is the first time. I come from consultancy before, and I remember trying to solve a problem, and it was your problem, and it's a great mentality.
Can you all talk a little bit more about this? So this seems to me like something that's really important within the data organization at TripActions, this idea of like the team comes first. And I'm wondering like how that shakes out, right? Like what does it mean to come first? Like what does it come before? Does it come before like other teams in the org? Does it come before kind of your own personal interests? Like how does that kind of value become like behavior change?
I really think that for having that, you really have to have a global view about what everybody's doing, that we have it. So I know what Teddy is doing, and I know if she's asking me something, she's asking me because because she's stuck, and I really know the impact of what I'm going to do helping her. So I really think that for having this kind of the team first, you really need to have first this value of the persons that they are first, they can work alone, they know what to do, and they also know what the team is doing. So
yeah, we have it defined in our team values, and it's the way you ask the question made me think, but it's about team first, individual second. So what Virginia was saying is that yes, indeed, every time I have been stuck, she's always there to unstuck me, and that makes me feel that she in a way puts me in front of herself, because I'm sure sometimes that would distract her. And that's really important in building that team culture of support.
One of the things that really rings out to me here is you're talking a lot about sort of the importance of communication and relationships, right? Feedback is in some ways kind of in the bucket of communication, right? And I wonder, do you find that sort of the team, the data organization, like also maintains that kind of like highly collaborative relationships with other teams within the org, right? Is the inside of the data organization sort of a smaller version of the larger company? Like, what do those relationships look like?
I think that Bart will respond this one very good because he's so very close with other teams.
Thanks, Virginia. Let me see. So I can speak from the analyst team perspective. We have weekly sort of think tank sessions with the different key departments. So in every session there will be some analysts, and then the sort of the key leaders from that department, where we don't necessarily talk about like project specific stuff, because it's only like 30 minutes every week, because like project meetings are held like in parallel of those. But we talk more about like what are long-term plans. It could be long-term data plans, and then what impact could that have on that department, and vice versa. Maybe the sales team is planning to make an organizational change or something in their compensation structure, and then we can just brainstorm what the impacts on us would be. so keep a close relationship in that sense.
There's also a lot of, I'd say, like empathetic engagement, which is fundamental here. So,
Okay.
we're talking a lot about how it's really important because, the success of the group isn't measured by who gets the most accolades. It's measured by all of us succeeding in our goals and advancing the company's usage of data. That's also based on how the company is able to be successful. And the only way that we can do that is understand all the different problems and then care about their success. And that's led to stuff like, in a passing conversation with someone in support, they mention a manual process using data that we actually change our priorities in the sprint because we can automate that quickly for them and take away the stress and allow them to succeed. Or, we used to do a lot of travel, small changes in the last year have kind of impacted that. But you go into a site, you go visit a California office and you're chatting with someone and the conversation over coffee is always different than a meeting. You hear something, you say, okay, this is actually something while I'm here I can help you with, and I'm going to change what my goals are for now so that I can make sure you're more successful. And so we try to, as much as possible, reflect that empathy and compassion that we have inside the group outwards towards our partners.
That sounds awesome. I really like the idea of sort of centraling, like making the goals of the overall business like central to the mindset of that kind of like relationship. And one of the kind of conversations that is emerging out of the Coalesce conference is this sort of almost like ubiquitous tension between the service obligations and like the new feature or new product development obligations of data teams. And I wonder, like, how do y'all balance that? I mean, because it feels like any sufficiently sophisticated organization is always going to generate way more stuff they want done from the data team than a data team can ever reasonably actually accomplish, right? And I wonder, like, how do you maintain this kind of like deeply empathetic, like tightly knit relationships with other parts of the org when there's like inevitably things you can't do or things you have to deprioritize? Like, how do you thread that needle? That just seems really hard.
Teddy, I think maybe you're the most equipped to speak to this between like product and supply and all the teams you've had to work with. So
I was going to throw it again to Bart on how to manage that work. But
You can start.
It's a hard balance, and I would say, especially in data science, because usually our products are a bit more long-term. The way I would usually step up on those small requests that continuously flow our way is that I will use that as one of our ways to build the relationship with the stakeholder. It is really hard I would imagine all know it, to sell a data science product and have it live and implemented, because first you need to have that trust with the stakeholder, and that takes time. And what usually I would do is take all those small requests into my path of building the relationship with the stakeholder. And then eventually we see that thing happening from all those small requests that are flowing, we are able to build a roadmap. Some patterns would start appearing from those small questions, and we will see a bigger product that perhaps we need to work on that we haven't realized we do need. So it's very important of keeping some sort of actually a backlog of all those small requests and actually reviewing them and thinking about what actually was this person asking for when they ask me that one sentence question. What is their real problem?
Yeah, what's the problem behind it? Yeah, that's interesting. I like that.
But yes, we have similar stuff into the data clinics. Somebody was talking about that earlier yesterday, I think so, about how we handle ad hoc requests. And Bart can speak so well about that.
Yeah, so for the operational side, yeah, as you can imagine, we get a lot of requests daily. So we have dedicated support channels for that on Slack for every department. And then within the team, we assign shifts. So we work in different time zones, but now for these shifts, we determined like US and EMEA. And then like every analyst takes one shift a week. And then, yeah, so that person is then focusing on all the questions that come in. And but yeah, ideally we for the folks that have heard the presentations this afternoon, so we trained around 70% of the company to self-serve their questions. Obviously, not everything can be easily self-served, or sometimes if the folks are not that data savvy, or they're a bit unsure about, because for example, it could be that a customer is asking for a report, then the CSM could get the data themselves, but sometimes they just want to double check with us. Mm-hmm. Did they include all the filters correctly? Is it what they would expect? But yeah, we still focus on the training part. But if still we end up with a huge list of requests, then usually we take it back, or sort of we determine what the impact would be if we would handle those requests, and also what the urgency of the requests are, or bring it back to the managers of those teams, and then just explain the situation that there are 10 requests right now. We can only serve maybe 3 of them this week. Which ones do they prefer to be tackled first? So it's a mutual decision.
That makes sense to me. And that's also part of building that relationship, right? Like the reason you have good relationships with other parts of the org is probably, I would imagine, in part because you have real, like, candid conversations about like priorities and resources, right? I can totally do that. You know, in like thinking about this talk and in reflecting on how positive it seems like you all are feeling about the team, it makes me sort of wonder, like on the dream theme, right? It is like, well, can we talk about like anti-patterns? Like for folks who are watching and who are going to catch the recording later, like what would you see as sort of like the red flags? Like what are the indicators that where someone is right now is maybe not a dream team, right? Like a nightmare team. Like what would that look like?
I mean, at least for me, I think if I was to watch for one thing that would be a concern, it would be lack of transparency. So you talk about feedback and how that's important in communication. We talk about empathy and how that's important. The antithesis to that for me is lack of transparency. You know, we really aggressively push to be transparent. Sometimes to the point it's uncomfortable, but it forces us to always be honest with each other and vulnerable to each other. So for me, a team where you wouldn't have that experience would be a sign of a troubled team.
I take that.
I think that, I have been in so many city companies before that I really know what is a bad data team. So now that I am already here, I am super happy. And I think that in the past companies, what it make the place like be awful, not the way that I didn't feel secure. Like I didn't feel like if I needed help or if something come up that I didn't had anyone there for helping. And this security that I can go to Rob one day or to Yuri, that is my boss, to tell him I'm not feeling well, I really don't know how to do this, and they just say, oh, let's jump in a call and let's do it. Is that what it makes the whole difference? Feeling secure in your job, feeling that you can share, and is just really, really nice. And also being around people that understand your job and that you really can do cool things. Because I remember being in, I'm not gonna say the name for a company, but it was building seat after seat after, like making paths of everything. And not taking the time to make things that they were really cool. And when you finish building the tool, you're like, oh, this is nice.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, perhaps you can, that's internally, culturally, but also anti-pattern, you can spot it from outside of the team very easily in an organization, for sure. When you have all the conflicting metrics or people storing their data in all over Excel and no one knows what is actually happening and they cannot even measure simple things. And maybe a random person here and there, a random team here and there can have their own analysts, but no one can agree of which is the accurate metric and KPI that we should be tracking. So that can be seen from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that we as a data team, we need to support the rest of the organization to either help them make decisions or bring insights to them. And I think one thing to avoid is to close yourself off from the rest of the organization. To like, if you never are talking to them, or if you're only building the tools that we like to build, but no one's using them, then
Right.
we're not helping the rest of the organization. So yeah, be proactive when reaching out to other teams. Yeah, don't close yourself off and keep responding to the business's needs, I would say.
I totally dig that. We are coming up on time, and I'm wondering if y'all have any closing remarks that you'd like to make. Is there anything that you like really wanted to say that we didn't get a chance to cover? Anything like that?
I just want to give a shout out to Bastian and Jeff's talk earlier today. If you haven't seen it, it was absolutely fantastic. And Virginia, Teddy, Bart, they've all contributed to making it possible to do the things that we're talking about. So that's my closing remark, is check out, if you want to see the work that this team has done, check out that presentation.
And that will be on the convention page and also on YouTube shortly. So
Nice.
very good.